regarding the licensing of the. Can I just go back and give others a chance? If I may be given opportunity, I can come back. Thank you very much.
Good morning to you all. My name is Keboni Mupi from Ward 28 in Litabong, here in Rustenburg. An EFF member in good standing. And in terms of the guest amendment bill, we as the EFF, our position says before operational licenses are issued, companies must clearly outline disaster management regulations for surrounding communities in the event of gas, leak, or other unforeseeable disasters emanating from the company's activities. They must also outline environmental protection and rehabilitation processes to be observed prior, during, and post-operation. This should be in the form of a binding legal contract that will give the state powers to pursue the companies in the event of non-compliance. Companies should be able to demonstrate that their activities will not intensify environmental degradation and climate change, and their carbon footprint will be within accepted standards. We should agree with Bill's recommended provisions to empower NERSA as stipulated in the amendment. We should further agree with Section 26 compliance notice, which proposes a minimum penalty of 2 million rands per day for breach of compliance. However, Act must have Category A and Category B companies. Category A companies should be small businesses and entry-level companies who should be exempted from the minimum of 2 million penalty. Instead, they should be put under guided and supportive probation for 5 years. And where there is no improvement, NERSA should reserve the right to revoke the operating and trading licenses of the companies or subject the company to penalties whose minimum should be 60% of their profits. Category B companies should be big businesses which should be subjected to the 2 million proposed fine. We should further agree with provision to put measures in place to ensure industry complies with its legal obligations in order to help protect health and safety of workers and communities as well as the environment. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I request those who have got written inputs to please forward them to the staff behind me?
Ke a leboga ba ba kwetseng di tshitshinyo tsa bone mo fatshe le ka di tlisa mo babereking ba badiri ba rona ba ba dutseng ka fa morago.
In as much as you are recorded on audio, even by notes, it's better when we also have your input, if it is written, as a point of reference, so that we capture you correctly according to what you have presented.
Le gatisitswe mo audiong me gape go ntse go notiwa me fela re batla tse di kwadilweng gore re kgone go tsa malebela sentle ditletlebo tsa lona.
The last thing I must clarify, we can't answer. We are listening.
Se ke tshwanetseng go se gatelela ke gore re ka se kgone go letsebogela kgotsa go la araba re utlwile gore la reng.
So, like the last speaker who was saying, when it comes to application for licensing, for a gas operator, 1, 2, and 3 must happen. We need that. not us. I said we have not discussed as a committee. So tell us that when it comes to application, this is what we think the procedure that must be followed as contained in the amendments.
Jaaka sebui sa bofelo se ne se bua gore ga o kopa license go o dira jane le jane ke sone se re se batlang seo lona le re boleleleng le re feng ditshitshinyo
We will record that.
re tla di gatisa le tsone.
Can we take now the second round, as long as we just stick to the amendments of the Gas Act? Can we take the other round number, is any hands?
Re tsaya matsogo a mang gape fa ile fela gore le tla go bua
number
fela
one.
ka ditlhabololo.
There is a hand there. Number two. Any other hand? Then it means we'll have the shortest meeting. Any, wait, don't worry. Any other hand, otherwise I close.
A go mong gape yo santseng a batla go bua.
You want a second bite? Come. Number three. Any other hand, otherwise I'm closing.
Letsogo le leng gape fa e se jalo ra tswalela.
1, 2, 3. You are the last one. After that, we'll be closing. Come, number 1. Oh, you are the last one. So, Falango Ma'am.
Good morning, members of parliament. My name is Stephen Fanimwatse, member of the African National Congress, councillor of Ward 10 in good standing. This bill will serve, if we do it in a right way, will serve a very good purpose, more especially for the people of Rustenburg. We are a mining area with an experience of 24 years in the mining industry. When I joined the mining industry, it was in 1994. There is a lot of discrepancies that are happening behind the doors of the mines. What is being portrayed out there, it's not what is happening inside. There is a lot of gas emissions that goes through and affect our people. We need to make sure that the government takes responsibility of making sure that they monitor what is going on. And how do we do that? The government, through NERSA and all the applicable departments on energy, they should make sure that people who are doing such kind of a job are trained, they are producing a proper job, then and all the measures that goes through are applied. At this point in time, if you go around Rustenburg and issues around Rustenburg, which is Bleskop and Tlhabane and so forth, on a daily basis, we have a problem where gases are just around and then we are inhaling those things and then they are not healthy for us. And when you look at the department of the DMR, the information that they get is that the companies are doing the best they can to make sure that these emissions are regulated and then are under a certain efficiency that the government said it must be. However, it is not what is happening. We need to have an establishment in Rustenburg in particular where it reports direct to the minister or it reports direct to the committee and taking measurements on a daily basis. What they feed to the government, it's not exactly what is happening. So when companies are being given the certificates or the contracts to do these things, they must comply. They must make sure that people are not getting hurt. We, at the long run, the gas emissions is like when you take the asbestosis and so forth. You work in the environment for a certain time. When you go out, you feel all right. After a couple of years, it comes back. So there must be a regular intervention from the government. Me as an individual who's been part of the mining industry for over 24 years, can articulate that whatever has been said, it's totally what is not happening on the ground. The omissions are very high. There is always stories that no, this is done correctly. However, you can see if you stay around Rustenburg, most of us are having sinus problems and all that stuff that and all those situations that are impacting with our health. Please take this bill and make sure that everything is done appropriately. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Tlakile tlhompeng ba botlhe ka mo. Na ke Poppy Levete from Ward 30, proud good standing member in good standing of the EFF organization. Mine is to speak about providing cooperations between private and public sectors in the gas industry. The bill must ensure private sector monopoly over the gas industry is dismantled by regulating and making it into the law that the state should control not less than 60% of gas industry activities within 10 years of the bill's implementation, and no less than 75 within 15 years. The department must produce annual reports on what they are doing to achieve this, and where targets are not met. The department officials must be held accountable and possibly replaced. The bill must compel the state establish a wealth fund within 5 years of the bill's implementation, whereby no less than 20% of profits made by public institutions in the gas industry are invested and used for service delivery and development purposes. This proportion should be reviewed every 10 years, and the base minimum should not be below 20% of profits. By law, gas companies that fail to meet certain criteria when applying for operational licenses but have potential should be undertaken through specific programs and given the necessary support by the department to fully participate. This should be specific to business owned by the most disadvantaged Black, women, youth, and people with disabilities. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's me again. Okay, it's Basito again from Tlhabane. My question is actually it's a comment regarding the licensing of the gas, on the gas. I want to understand if maybe look into when you give us a prospecting license maybe for the gas. The challenge that we're having as emerging companies is that sometimes for us to obtain the licensing, you start by getting a prospecting, then we have to put the infrastructure in place. By then you don't have the funds. You apply or you call investors to come and invest into the project. But the investors will only invest when we have a license, because it can be rejected before. So it becomes a challenge to us, so that if we have an investor wants to come and invest, but he doesn't have a licensing. So if we can look into the bill that says, look, let's try and I heard the president talk about SONA, said that we can move away the red tapes, maybe help us to get the licensing so that we can, if I can get a license, I can also get investors to come and invest in an infrastructure. For me to have an infrastructure and come and apply for a license might be a challenge. I'm not saying, we are saying it might be a challenge because you might not have the money to invest. If you can maybe have a way of saying, get a license, then the investors will invest money to the project. If you can look into that, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ntombi. I'm from Ward 28 in Lithabong, here in Rustenburg. We as the EFF are saying on the bill, guest amendment bill, to ensure transformation, the bill must explicitly develop regulation that will ensure ownership and participation in the industry reflect demographics, even within To ensure transformation, the bill must explicitly development regulation that will ensure ownership and participation in the industry, reflect demographics, even within Black sector of society. Currently, Black-owned businesses and industries are dominated by Indians, Asians, who have been advantaged over the years. I thank you.
Thank you very much for your inputs. I tried, I said it's the last person because there was never a hand.
Re lebogetse thata ditshwaelo tsa lona ke lekile ka natla go kopa matsogo a oketsegileng go ne go sena le fa e le lengwe.
Now, I'm doing a fair, can I take, if there's any, 2 hands?
Jaanong ke tlile go lekanyana gape a go
I
ka
see
tsogana le
there are people who came a little bit late after I made that announcement.
a go ka tsogana le matsogonyana ka nang mabedi gongwe a bangwe go na le batho ba ba ile matsena moragonyana ga ke ne ke sena go leka go kopa a mang a oketsegileng.
1,
1
2,
2
3, closed.
re tswetse
Thank you very much.
re lebogile thata.
Now, I heard some people who were saying, let me say, I'm also a member of this committee in good standing.
Ke utlwile mongwe a bua gore ke leloko le le sa koloteng sepe e re le nna ke lo bolelele gore ke leloko la komiti eno le le sa koloteng sepe.
Now, let me explain the process from here.
E re ke le tlhalosetse gore go a go direga eng go tswa fano.
It is not the same as what we usually call an oversight.
Ga se selo se se tshwanang le se se tleng se dirwe morago ga mo jaaka go tsaya maeto a go ya go tlhatlhoba mafelo.
What we will do as a committee is to compile a report
Mme rona se re tlileng go se dira fano fa jaaka komiti e rile go kokoanya pego ya rona
of your public hearings in Rustenburg.
ya dikokoano tseno tsa go lo reetsa mo Rustenburg.
That report will form part of all the public hearings that we have conducted so far in the 9 provinces.
Pego eo e tlile go nna e nngwe ya karolo ya pego ya dipego tsotlhe tse e rileng ra di kokoanya mmogo mo di provinces tsotlhe tse 9.
It means it will start from the first public hearing we had in Bombela, Mpumalanga,
Go raya gore e tlile go simolola mo kokoanong ya ntlha e mo gone re neng re reditse maloko a setšhaba e re simoletseng ko Venda. I'm sorry.
Mpumalanga.
E re simoletseng ko Bombela ke kopa tshwarelo.
Then up until to this one.
Go tla go fitlha mo go e re le mo go yone gone jaanong.
Then we will have as a committee to adopt the report
Morago ga mo re tla be re nna le thulaganyo ya gore rona jaaka komiti re amogele pego eno
and then deliberate on the proposed amendments as a committee.
re be re simolola re tlotla gore re dire ditshwetso ka dimametlelelo tse di dirilweng mo molaotlhomong jaaka komiti.
Then we will make what is called recommendations on the proposed amendments.
Morago ga mo re tla be re dira se re se bitsang gore ke ditshitshinyo tse di amanang le molaotlhomo o mametleletsweng.
Then the report will be forwarded to the National Assembly for a debate in the National Assembly.
Morago ga mo pego eno yotlhe e tla be e romelwa go kokoano ya bosetšhaba gore ba ye go tlotlisana ka yone mo kokoanong ya bosetšhaba.
If those recommendations are accepted by the National Assembly,
Fa kokoano ya bosetšhaba e ka amogela ditshitshinyo tseo re di dirileng,
then they will be forwarded to the National Council of Provinces.
di tla be morago ga moo di romelwa go lekgotla la bosetšhaba la diporofense.
Then, if the National Council of Provinces accept, having tabled them, it will be referred to what is called the Select Committee responsible, amongst others, for mineral resources and energy.
Mme fa lekgotla la diporofense la bosetšhaba le di amogela morago ga moo di tla be di romelwa ko dikomiting tse dingwe tse di tlhophilweng gore di berekane le ditshwetso tsa bofelo tsa teng.
That Select Committee may or can decide to also conduct its own public hearing.
Ka jalo le tsone dikomiti tseo tse di tlhophilweng tseo di neetsweng pego eno e ba ka nna ba itirela tshwetso le bone ya gore a ba batla go dira ditlhatlhobisiso ka ditshitshinyo tseo ba di amogetse gore ba di lebe.
So if you see another committee coming with the proposed amendment on the gas amendment bill, it will only be the Select Committee that also deals with mineral resources and energy.
Ka jalo ha lo ka bona go tla komiti e nngwe gape e tla go bua ka go dirwa ga dimametlelelo mo ditshitshinyong tse di neng di mametleletswe le ditshwetso tse di dirilweng, go tla bo seo go raya gore le bone ba ile ba tsaya tshwetso ya go dira ditshwetso ka ga tsone e amana le lefapha la ditsompelo tsa diminerale le energy.
If the NCOP agrees with the recommendations of the Select Committee, then those proposed amendments will be sent to the President to sign off.
Me fa NCOP
Select Committee.
e leng di komiti tse e leng gore di kokwane di ile tsa tlhophiwa gore di lebe ditshwetso tseno tsa bofelo, ba bona gore ba dumalana le dimametlelelo tse di dirilweng, ditshwetso tseo tsa bone le ditshitshinyo di tla be di romela kwa go moporesidente gore ene a di saene.
Then those proposals will become part of the law.
Mme tla re ha sena go di saena ditshitshinyo tseo tse di dirilweng di tla be jaanong e nna molao wa konokono o go tla be go dirisiwa one.
So that is the process that will be followed.
Eo ke yone thulaganyo e tlileng go latelelwa.
And as I said that we have now come to the end of the meeting,
Jaaka ha ke ile ka bua jaanong re fitlhile mo bokhutlhong jwa kokoano ya rona.
those who go to church, be careful to your church leader to say, I didn't attend church, I was in a meeting and say, but I saw you before 12.
Ba e le gore ba tsena dikereke nna ke le tlhoko malebana le baeteledi pa le bana ba bodumedi gongwe tla ba bolella gore ga wa tla kerekeng ka gone o no le mo kokoanong eno e mme o tla ba bona pele ga ura ya bo 12.
Thank you very much for your inputs. They were valid, and it is for all of us to take them into consideration. The meeting stands adjourned.
Re lebogile thata ka ditshwaelo tsa lona go ne go le molemo tota gore re di akanyetse ka jalo ge ba gaetsho kokoano ya rona e fitlhile mo bokhutlong jwa yone.
Those who have made written submissions, please don't forget to bring them on the table this side now.
Ka jalo ba lona le dingongorego tsa lona tse le ne le di kwadile mo pampiring se le baleng go di tlisa mo tafoleng e ka fa morago ga me ka tswetswe.